All right. Well, it is 5:05, so let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tableau San Diego Tableau user group event. And I have to go here. One moment. Too many monitors, and I don't know where anything is. I'm prepared. All right. Welcome to our user group meeting. We'll go over to the agenda really quickly. We'll introduce ourselves and then we'll go over some announcements, some light housekeeping, and then we'll have our featured presentation, how AI is changing with Tableau and what Tableau analysts need to learn. Uh, we're pleased to have Sekou Tyler with us. Again, thank you again for joining us and presenting. There's a 2-hour time difference, so really appreciate you. And I'll kick it off. I'm Luigi Cicciari. I'm one of the co-leaders of the San Diego user group here. I'm also a Tableau Ambassador in my second year. Um, and my day job, I'm a Vice President Operations for Direct Avenue. We're a linear and connected television uh, marketing agency. We monitor performance and report to our clients, and I oversee operations, and I'm our primary Tableau dashboard author. And that's one of the favorite parts of my job. Kayla.
Hi, I can jump in. I am Kayla. I've been working with Luigi for the last few years to host the San Diego TUG, originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I currently work as an analyst for Archwell Health, which is a healthcare startup that provides primary care services to Medicare patients.
Thank you.
Hey,
Michael.
hey everyone, Mike McCusker here. I have been one of your organizers for the Tableau user group for just a little over 6, 7 months now, and having a ball. So thank you for having me on board. I'm a Tableau tech lead for a company called DaVita. We're a healthcare company that provides dialysis for patients with kidney disease, and I get to train people in Tableau, and I'm currently heading up our Tableau cloud migration right now. So, yeah, get to live all things Tableau and loving it.
Awesome. And thank you for joining the group. It's been wonderful having you. And Kayla, wonderful working with you as well. And also, not logged in, Ashley Zong. She's another one of our leaders that helps us run the user group. And to reminder, there's different ways to keep connected in the Tableau community. One is through the community Slack. You can scan a QR code and you can join. There's a bunch of different Slack channels. You drop questions, um, look for jobs, get to know each other. There's a channel for almost everything in there. A lot of us are on there. You can drop by and say hello, and uh, definitely worth it to take a few minutes and browse around. I'll leave that up for a second if you want to grab that. And if you want to sync up with our community, we have a Slack as well. We're a group of us. We will ask questions. We'll talk. We'll plan events. Uh, you can scan that, and then we have a LinkedIn group as well, and where we can share information and get ideas, and just more ways to get involved with us. So please scan the links, join us there, and we can keep the conversation going. And you'll find that we're a whole lot of fun around here. And speaking of fun, Tableau conference, it's coming quick. In May 5th through May 7th. And those of you haven't been, it's an experience for sure. And if you have been, you know what I'm talking about. Lots of people, lots of sessions, lots of opportunities to network, and learning from just being around people. Uh, Here's some top level points for conference. We know it's going to be San Diego. There's over 300 sessions planned, including hands-on trainings, product demos, Iron Viz, which is one of my favorite in-person experiences. If you haven't been and you've seen it through Salesforce Plus, it's even more awesome experience when you're sitting there experiencing it. Devs on Stage is another keynote that is really awesome. People that actually build the software to our team will come up and show things that they're working on, and between that and Iron Viz and just getting to see all my friends there, it's the best part. So if you're thinking about going, I say you definitely should if you can make it work. If not, you can also attend sessions on Salesforce Plus. Talk about Iron Viz, a special congratulations to the top three: Bryant Moore, Kevin Wee, and Pregler. They won the Iron Viz feeder, and they'll be competing on stage. In 20 minutes, they'll build their vizzes in front of everyone. They'll be judged, and one of them will be crowned the winner. And again, it's super exciting. But congratulations to them. Also, congratulations to the top 10. Just making it out of 122 entries there's something to be said for that. And then everyone else that put their work out there and shared. It takes something to put your work out there, and congratulations to you. And scan the QR code, you can still register for a conference. There's still a discount going on right now. I believe that's through tomorrow. And then the prices will go up. But if you scan now, you can register and get that discount. And again, even if you can't go in person, you can view the sessions on Salesforce Plus, and it's still worth it. But I'd still like to see every single one of you and have you come up and say hello. And probably the most important part, the day before conference open on May 4th, on May the 4th be with you, San Diego Tableau User Group hosts our welcoming party. I will be at noon the day before. More details will be coming, and registration in April. But it's a networking event. We bring tacos, street tacos. They're made on site. We gather. We talk about how exciting conferences is going to be, and just take it all in before it really gets crazy that next week. And this is the third year, or as the logo says, episode 3. We're really trying to milk the Star Wars thing for all it's worth, but it's a whole lot of fun. The first 2 years were a blast, and this year's going to be fantastic as well. So again, look for our social media. You can join those groups. If once you've signed up for this event, so when registration goes live, you'll get an email for then. And yeah, definitely, if you can come in a day early, join our event, and then later in the evening is a Data Plus Women. They've been the opening pre-night for as long as I can remember, and I've been going to Tableau conference since 2015, and that's another can't miss event. And registration usually opens a month prior as well, so look for that in April, and we'll share out as well when that opens up. And that's another great event and great organization. So Data Plus Tacos in the afternoon, the evening before on May the 4th, Data Plus Women, and then you'll start conference off right. And really quickly, before I introduce Sekou, I wanted to also, for us local in San Diego, we'll be looking to put an event on next month. We're looking at having a beach cleanup in Moonlight Beach on March 21st. More details to come out, but wanted to call out. We'll try to make that happen. We'll help our community, and then have a little meetup afterwards, some coffee, and just to enjoy our beauty here in San Diego. And that said, now I would like to introduce our speaker, Sekou. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on tonight. This is going to be exciting. Appreciate the invite. Wish I could get to San Diego and help clean up and get some coffee too. So, but I won't be able to make it next month. So let's dive into it, man. Let me share my screen. If you give me control, there we go.
All right. So let's see. Are you? There you go.
Okay. There we go. Full version. I don't know if I love that. Okay. Let's share. Let me stop that right quick. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, thanks everybody for coming to the San Diego User Group. Appreciate y'all. 27 participants, which is awesome. You could be doing anything, but you're gonna listen to me talk about AI and Tableau stuff. So appreciate you being on. I am Sekou Tyler. I am the founder and CEO of Royal Blue Analytics, and I used to co-lead the National Tableau User Group. I don't do this much anymore, but I still lead the Black and Data Tableau User Group. Find me on all platforms at SQL Sekou, and you can go to my blog at sequelsekou.com. I'm also on Medium and Substack. I need to blog some more, but there's some stuff out there. But we dive into that later. But the topic of this is how AI is changing what Tableau analysts need to learn. So it's really kind of a hook type of approach. AI is everywhere. So if you're like doing everything, if you're doing anything in data, if you're doing anything, period, you're probably like, my industry is changing so much. What do I need to do to understand it? So I'm going to go through some of the things that I'm working on and some of the things that I've learned in my career and some things to be mindful of when it comes to AI and, general just Tableau analyst needs. A little bit about me, 10 plus years, BI data analytics. So I've been here for a while. Like I said, founder and CEO of Royal Blue Analytics, community engagement. I do a lot of different things. You follow me on different platforms. You see me talking about a lot of different stuff. Certified and stuff. I like keeping a job, so I want to be employed and make money. So those are some of my certifications at the bottom. And then I also have a podcast, 10 Minute Tuesday. I've had the pleasure of having Kayla and Michael, Luigi. I need to get you on. And who's in here? I haven't had Sam, but I had Johnny on here. I see some familiar faces in the crowd. So, but love to have people on. So if you want to be on a podcast, hit me up later afterwards. We'll figure out. But I just love to be engaged and involved and do a lot of different things. So AI happens to be one of those things that I'm picking up and learning about. All right. So before we do a deep dive, let's get a quick pulse check and see where everyone is at on their AI journey. Normally I would do a poll, but because I didn't do this in Bevy in time, I'm just going to ask the question. So question number one is, have you used AI at work? So have you used any tool? Typically ChatGPT, Claude, or Copilot. Those are the big three that I would think people are leveraging. So if you want to raise your hand or post a chat, a thumbs up in the chat, we'll see. Gemini is in there. I should have put Gemini. Good call, Samantha. We see ChatGPT, Gemini, GPT, Copilot, ChatGPT, right? Some people are using one tool, Cursor. Okay, Nikki. Awesome. So we see some people are using tools already for leverage different things. Some people are mixing and matching. Some people are doing a number of different things, but we see that, some people are using tools and getting stuff out there. So question number two, AI specifically with Tableau. So have you used AI with your Tableau workflow? Whether that is coming up with calculations and you're like, create this LOD for me, or help me come up with documentation. How many people have used it specifically with Tableau? All right. Oh, Gemini Jim, you created Tableau coach. Samantha, I'm gonna have to pick your brain on that one. Okay, that's a really good one. Tom, Tableau issues, custom SQL, sometimes create calculated fields. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are probably doing it for, the coding perspective of it all, documentation, export XML, some of the boring stuff, right? We're using AI for some of that. And then really the biggest question is, we think about society where we're at, how many people are actually feeling overwhelmed with how much AI is out there right now? So, yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, yes. It's too much. Like, it's impossible. It's impossible to keep up. There's way too much documentation. There's way too much content. There's way too many thought leaders out there. If you're looking at investments, right, the software bubble is going to happen because everybody has overinvested, and so all these software companies are going in, right? So all the way from our emotion of we could lose our job to all the way to the economy to all these different things, right? There's so much information out there, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. So AI impact on Salesforce stock, right? Agent Inforce software. There's just a lot of stuff going on. So if you raise your hand on the last one, you're in the right place. The session is built specifically for you. I'm going to do my best to be a data analyst psychologist to say like, hey, it's okay. We're in a good place. Everything will be all right. We're fine. Everything will be great. But we're going to go through this in the slides. So roadmap today, what we'll cover, talk about core Tableau skills, put a big emphasis on what is not going to replace you and the foundations that you need to have. AO and Tableau, talk about AI and Tableau, talk about what's new and some practical use cases. Number 3, I think is a really big one, the new role of the Tableau analyst. It's really not a new role, but it's just reinventing how you think about and how you articulate what you're doing day in and day out. AI pitfalls and ethical responsibilities, number 4, and then number 5, moving forward, preparation and career positioning, right? So a lot of this stuff is, how are we going to leverage AI, what not to fear, but then how can we prepare for it because it's not going anywhere. All right, so when we think about AI and the foundation that won't change, I like to think that there are core concepts that will not go away, regardless of what's out there. Number 1 will always be data literacy, regardless if you think it's a big buzzword or not. Understanding really what the data means and what it is trying to tell is a skill. We can load stuff. We can look at the metadata. We can give it, take Claude, for example, right? We can give it skills and create all these MD files and give it context, but there's still just general data literacy that's out there. And the better you are understanding that, it's still going to be a skill that's always going to be there. And I think that's always going to be ever present. I think number 2 is business context, especially for small businesses. I think it's people here work for bigger companies or organizations, but still within your own sub departments. There are a lot of different things that are so unique to what you do day in and day out. So understanding truly the business context is going to be huge. I think that's still going to be a thing where AI will not understand some of the nuances there. Like when it comes to thinking about a metric and who owns the metric, if we're thinking about, let's say, operations, for example, there could be 10 different people in a company that are doing different things in operations. But I personally know that Jim from this department does it this way and his metric looks like this. That's just domain knowledge that I have. There's just context and different things that I have that without appropriate context and documentation, and if that stuff is not documented and updated on the fly, AI is still not going to get all the time. So understanding true business context and why a metric matters and what the relevance of it is still is going to be huge. Critical thinking is there. I think, as we know, we mentioned a lot of different people that are here. We've used so many different tools. We use Gemini. We probably had come up with prompts with ChatGPT and then put it in the Claude to validate the results and then put it in Claude and Gemini. Now we're using multiple tools to see which ones are actually working. But there's so many times hallucinations and stuff isn't right. We just copy and paste the results of this LOD calculation that we built out and we see the results are wrong. Like there's still an element that our critical thinking is needed as human beings to question results and then spot what's going on. We use AI as a tool. It has deep thought, there's all these different things there, but there's still components where, 1 + 1 = 2. Like that's simplistic sometimes. It's still needed for stuff that we're going to build out. Storytelling with data. There are a lot of good things that Claude can do. But again, your audience better than your AI tool can sometimes. So being able to drive and frame the insights and make sure you're telling an articulate story with the appropriate person, it's just that. And then domain expertise. So understanding industry, understanding your users and your data. So again, I like to say specifically for small businesses, if I am creating something for a specific thing that I just enjoy, or, if there's a domain knowledge in healthcare that we are building out a new product that is looking at specific ICD-10 codes for a particular use case, right? There's this experience that we have that will be there that will keep us in demand for going forward, right? AI will be there. We can load it up with documents. We can give all the PDFs. We can get all this information, but being able to have the domain expertise and be able to talk to it quickly with other people around you is just super huge. And I didn't put this on here, but I feel like relationship building and connecting with other human beings is still going to be a strong foundation. So if you are doing things with stakeholders and having general conversations and you're providing confidence that you'll hit the mark for them, I think that foundation won't change either. So AI can generate a chart, but only you can tell the story with the right chart for the right audience to the right person to give them the right peace of mind. So if we think about traditional Tableau skills, we like to say we're rebalanced and we're not replaced. So our skills are evolving, but they're not disappearing. So what we talked about, right? We looked through the chat with people that use stuff. A lot of people say, hey, I use it for calculated fields, which is great, right? I use it all the time for calculated fields. I know what I want, and I can tell AI to go, hey, create this LOD for me, versus me having to come in, type through it, right? There's a lot of times where I can just get stuff faster. And so with AI, the speed to delivery can be faster, right? We've all been in instances where we have tried to get a creative calculation and goes through 10 iterations, but then it's wrong. It's like, dang it, I should just did it myself because at least I was closer the first time versus just letting AI do it. So, being able to do some of that coding and calculation, I think the good rule of thumb could be like, if it could get me 80% there, then it's worth it. And help speed up time, but it's not going to be 100% sometimes. Sometimes it's a lot faster, but sometimes it's not there. And so when it comes to calculated fields, coding, AI can help us get there faster. Dashboard design. So if people are using Claude, Figma, there's different mockups, there's different tools out there. It can help with dashboard design, but from my experience, it can get me to a really good starting point. But the people that I really, really trust and can help me with building out wireframes or who really are really great at storytelling, I've just found that they have such a better product versus me trying to be like, all right, I can do this myself. I can go in AI and create, what I think a design looks like and it's good. And AI can give me a really good point, but the people who are really great at this, it is just so much better. So again, it can assist us with it, but there's still an element to where it won't get us all the way there. So again, that 80% rule, but the people who are really great at it can be great. Data prep. So I think AI can be really great at this if you give it the appropriate thing. So an example could be if I am a data analyst and I'm trying to create a portfolio, I need to pull down some public data and I need to connect to this API so I can start building out my portfolio. I think the data prep portion of it is a lot faster. Like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years and I remember trying to come up with just connecting to NBA data sets and having to go down and pull down CSV files and manually manipulate it. And the amount of time that it took versus now, Cloud Code, anti-gravity, different tools out there, I can say, hey, pull this data set down or make up this mock data set, and I already have a data set. So from a Tableau data analyst perspective, who's just starting out with public data, it's fantastic. Now where it gets dicey is depending on your security guard and your handrails and the limitations that you have in-house, then sometimes the data prep is not necessarily as great because, right, we don't want to give it our internal company data to these different tools. We want to make sure that we have different things that are there. So it can't help with the data prep, but you got to make sure the security and stuff is there as well. Performance tuning is phenomenal. Anything coding, anything with metadata, it can give some really great suggestions, but then like always, you just want to test them out, make sure it's not messing it up. But I've definitely done some things where it's helped out with performance tuning and then SQL queries as well. I've done some stuff where I've actually used natural language where I've spoken to a mic and say, hey, I need you to join these 3 different tables. I need these fields. And I've described it versus me typing it in. So leveraging, this to build out the code in for me a lot faster has given me more time and has helped out as well. So when we think about the skills that will set the data analyst apart, I like to think of them as kind of a hierarchy. And I think there's new skills that we really need to think of ways to implement them. And the first one is prompting as a thinking skill. And when ChatGPT first came out, I think I was like a lot of people where I would just do my first prompt, and then I have a conversation, and I would do another prompt and iterate on it, and then I have another conversation, and I would do another prompt, and I would do another prompt. And then it turns out I might have had like 10 different prompts, and somehow I didn't even start with what I meant to go down. Like I gave it one prompt, and then somehow the end of the conversation is totally unrelated to what I started with. And what I've tried to work on this year, and what I've seen a lot of people do, especially in AI and data analytics, and people who are working out with markdown files, is really take a step back and think about the end goal as much as possible on that first prompt. And so you really start to document and put a lot of information into that very first prompt of what you want. And I found that people who are able to communicate really well what they want their input to be, um, it helps out with the end result more intelligently, more efficiently, different things of that nature. But I found that more people, the more you put more strategy into those prompts, the better that it can land with the AI and the more context and stuff you give it. So I think I've seen this evolution where, again, more people are just being more proactive with the information they're feeding it and more clearly defining the output that they want from it. When we think about evaluating AI output, again, right, we talk about accuracy, hallucinations, biases, and relevance. And I'll be specific, right, when it comes to socioeconomic categories, different things of bias that comes out with different races or genders, and different things of that nature, right? Depending on the output, you see a whole bunch of stuff out there that's just not relevant and not wrong. So I feel like more people that are leveraging AI really need to check for accuracy and really try and go as far upstream as possible to make sure that it's relevant sources. I read some horror stories where historically facts were given to like kids about different things from output from different AI tools. And it's just like, whoa, these events did not happen in 1776. What is going on here? What are you feeding? So, thinking about the output and different things, really, make sure. So to bring it back to the Tableau data analyst, I believe, and this is me forefront prediction on 2026 in San Diego user group, that everybody's talking about agent force and, well, not agents, but different agents, not specifically agent force, but just talking about different agents in general. And it's going to take one earnings call in the public for someone to be like, hey, we need a data analyst to come and check these numbers before we report it live. And I think that, whichever person is going to say we did our earnings from an agent and we didn't cross check it, and you cost someone millions of dollars, there will be a need for someone data analyst to come back in. So I think there's going to be more guardrails for evaluating the AI output. And if you can understand what the outputs are and the data that's going out, I think you'll be really great at what you're doing. Working with AI co-pilots. So Tableau AI, as I mentioned, SQL Analyst, ChatGPT, Claude, just different agents. I saw this analogy yesterday and I thought it was really cool, where someone said that people now are going to start managing agents. And so if you're an individual contributor, you always want to go into management. Well, being able to manage an agent is potentially could be a form of management, because you're going to have to manage different perspectives and different things to get the end result. Now, very technically savvy. It doesn't have the different nuances that come along with being able to have like individuals, and I got to go home early and I got to be able to, deal with different personalities and make sure it's a team environment. So that human piece of it is not there. But if you're working for organizations that are going to be really heavy on agents, being able to manage different results is kind of a form of management that could be potentially coming. So if you think about it and frame it up that way, it is a moment of like, all right, I could put management quotation marks on it, around it when it comes to the technical side, and have all these different assistants do things for me. But being able to work and understand what co-pilots are and just the different language around it is something that could be huge going down the line. And then knowing when not to trust AI. So again, most underrated skill of the AI era. I think we're starting to come along and be like, hey, I would do everything in AI generally, but now it's like, all right, let me not trust this for this particular one. Let me do this in-house. Let me figure out. So being able to know when to use it, when not to do it, I think is an underrated skill that's coming out. And then translated business questions. It's always going to be there. So make sure that you understand what the business needs and then how you leverage AI to become the bridge and create the workflows for it. So, how can you be that person that understands, what is needed, and here are the different tools to be able to get this to someone faster. Biggest piece, focus on patterns, not products. Products are going to change. Tools are always going to change. If you understand the foundations and the skills will be there. You just plug and play with the different tools that are available. All right, so some practical use cases talked about briefly today. So here's some real examples if you're not using AI explain the calculation. So you can put a complex LOD. Say you go to Tableau Public, pull down an actual dashboard or a data set, and you look at the calculations and just say like, hey, this is a really complex LOD. I don't understand what it's doing. Put it to me in layman's term and explain this for me. I think it's a great way to see, one, what the output is, and then two, you see like, okay, I do understand what this is doing, what it's looking up, what is needed. And that helps with that foundational component of using AI as an assistant, more or less as just someone that is just creating something for you. So, put any complex LOD, any calculation in ChatGPT and see what it comes back with and see if you agree with it. Number two, generating draft insights. So start, creating like annotations or analysis summaries to start with the data storytelling component to it and see if you like what AI writes. See if this passes the sniff test of, this is an annotation that I will call out, or this is analysis that I will call out. Or then also see like, no, I would have called out something different, or I would have done some type of analysis differently. See what the draft insights is and how much time you save, or how much time do you lose as well. Accelerate iteration. Again, get layout suggestions, calculate field prototypes faster. I always recommend doing this with public data. Do this on your own time. Please, please, please don't upload company data in a ChatGPT. I just beg of you, don't do that. That could just be a security risk. And then if you're doing any ad hoc analysis for personal projects, AI helps you explore the data when you're not sure where to start. I've done this several times where if I'm coming up with a public dashboard or a data set and I don't really know the industry as much, I have AI kind of build out something for me and then explain the industry, what are the dimensions, what are the measures, what are some of the calculations that are relevant to this industry, and at least helps me be more prepared for the conversation I might have later down the line. And then have better questions, use AI to translate vague requests into specific analytical questions. So if someone comes back and just say like, hey, we need 5 different things and they're really vague, use AI to come back and be like, hey, what else could I ask, or what more additional detail do I need to get this to the finish line, or get to the different point that I need? All right, so the before and after workflow, same task, different approach. So there's a human element, but then for leveraging AI, we can see sometimes we can get speed to impact faster. So step one, let's say we received a stakeholder request and I need to have a 30-minute meeting. Well, with AI, it still could be a 30-minute meeting because we still need to talk and have a conversation. We need to document the transcript. We need to ask the actual questions. We want to use AI in that meeting, but then we have the information going forward to be able to draft up action items, to come up with calendar invites, or different things that we might have missed while we're having a call. So you still want to take that time to have that really thorough 30-minute meeting with the stakeholder and have that information. Step two, write SQL to pull the data. So if it's something that you're already working with, what could take 1 to 2 hours, you got to figure out the left join, what joins with it. If you have the appropriate security and appropriate tools with it, it could potentially be 15 to 30 minutes because you already have the metadata, you already have the documentation, you have everything joined together. It automatically creates that script. You see the output, you test it, you verify it. These numbers are accurate. It did the coding for you, right? It could be a lot faster there. Clean and prep the data as well. So if you are doing some stuff to say I need to do some Python API calls, or I need to come up with some type of custom logic, and I say, hey, I need to create some custom case statements. I need to filter out some different results. I can leverage natural language to AI to say, hey, write this query for me, reduce these fields, remove this, create this case statement, right? All of this while actually using my microphone to talk to it and tell it, versus me having to type it. Again, you get more time back doing it that way, but you also want to make sure you're checking it and make sure you're validating results. Build the dashboard. Conceptually, it could take 3 or 4 hours, but leveraging AI, quotation marks, you could get 1 to 2 hours, or you can get 6 to 8 hours, and you just go so frustrated that you hate what you want. I'm just gonna start from scratch. So it's not always gonna be a guarantee that you get an AI augmented, but you can leverage it to actually help build out the dashboard, all the way from requirements gathering to building out mock-ups and wireframes to actually helping out with the development if you're leveraging to create calculations for you. Stakeholder review. Still going to be that human interaction was going to take 30 minutes. AI augmented, still take 30 minutes, I believe. You still want to have that conversation and that touch. But now you have revisions, right? 1 to 2 hours where you go through updating custom calculations, different things. It can be a lot faster using AI. And then documentation and publish. I really should have condensed this down in 5 minutes. I think documentation is so much faster. It's the part of the job that I personally don't love. and leveraging different tools out there. As long as you have access to it, the documentation becomes so much faster when you're leveraging AI tools to get that and actually have a written plan of your data model, your star schema, your custom calculations, your visual calcs, your how do you actually use this report itself? Where can I access it? To all these different things, right? The documentation piece of it can be so much faster when you're leveraging different AI tools. So, as we know, same quality, but it can potentially, everything goes according to plan half the time, which gives you more insights to do different things that you need to do throughout the day. A lot of times, especially as a data analyst, we're spending time on the SQL query, we're spending time prepping this data, we're waiting on things to load, and that gives us time to just drink from the fire hose. We're not taking a step back to think about, all right, once I deliver this, how do I strategically get this in someone else's hand, make sure they're using it? How do I go through the proper procedure to make sure that this is actually being used, right? Sometimes we just build stuff out and it's on to the next project and it's on to the next project. If we get some time back, we can actually take a step back and strategize and do this a lot more efficient. All right, so the new role of Tableau Analyst, I'd like to say this is a mindset shift. So if I was starting out in Tableau world, and even now, if I want to give myself a career title, these are some suggestions where you can kind of think towards where you're saying, instead of me being a dashboard builder, I'm actually an analytics advisor. And I'm thinking about ways to, instead of just creating it, I'm thinking about ways to advise and give more information. And then as you move from writing everything manually to validating AI assisted work, right? With the tools that we have, what could take like a technical creator or a data analyst or what have you, to validating this AI assisted work, right? It's a different way of thinking about it because I have the tools that I need. I just need to validate it and make sure that it's actually documented and doing everything that I want. And if you move from how do I build this to should we even answer this question, that just makes you more prominent because yes, we can build this, or how do I build this Sankey chart, or how do I build this custom diagram, or how do I build this custom P&L documentation in this table that I need? Or the question should be, how do we even answer this question that's coming out? Because potentially, if we're doing it right, we are getting more questions and stuff that we're delivering. We're not just building stuff because we can. We have more tools and resources. Like, should we even focus on this to begin with? What's the value in it? How do we get to that point? Does it matter to our stakeholders? And then move from a solo technical contributor to a translator between AI and business. So if you are just, thinking about how can I just develop, I love the tools, which is great. There's nothing wrong with it as well. But if you really become that translator between what the business needs and how to leverage AI to get them there, along with other tools, that just makes you more valuable. So ultimately, I believe the new role of Tableau Analyst is becoming more strategic, and it's not less valuable. Like the Tableau Analyst, you're still gonna have to be hands on keyboard. You're still gonna have to understand the foundations and the fundamentals. You understand how to create LODs and calculations and validating and optimization and rollup security, different things of that nature. But if you can become more strategic with the tools of how you get there, that just makes you way more valuable in the end. So, quote that I saw: "The analyst who thrives will be the ones who can explain the so what and not just build a dashboard." So if you can articulate it, if you can document it and have these different tools that are out there, I think it's just phenomenal. All right, see, I'm gonna take a pause here. Let's see. AI used for documentation, AI document, bunch of VBA, Python scripts, analytics advisor, soft skills. Shout out to Nikki. Soft skills are super important. All this stuff, right? It's just super important for the stuff that we have going on. All right, so what I would focus and what I try and focus to protect myself from burnout is, one, chasing every single AI tool. It is exhausting trying to keep up with it. And you're looking at somebody who consumes a lot of content, technically speaking, and trying to chase every single tool. There's so much out there. Even OpenAI brought in the guy from OpenClaw. What's today? Tuesday, Monday. He hired him. And OpenClaw is just something that came out a week, two. I don't know how long it's been out here, but it's just just keeping up with everything that's going on is exhausting. And if you're trying to keep up with every single AI tool, you are going to be potentially fatigue. So I like to say, find some things that you like doing, or find specific use cases, figure out the tools that are out there, and just kind of build upon that. Right now, Claude is hot. Everybody's talking about Claude Code, but it's been around for a while. But it's fascinating to see all the people that are using Claude and the different tools that are out there. But you're going to see more content when things are hot, and sometimes it will fizzle down, right? ChatGPT was hot, and it's not as hot. People are like, I'm canceling subscriptions and I'm not using it, but it's still a really good tool. So use a tool that you like and build upon it. Number 2, assuming AI output is correct. It's confident, not accurate. Always validate, always validate, always understand what it's giving you. Don't just automatically assume that it's accurate and correct. Number 3, trying to learn everything at once. This is a very long journey. Pick up things iteratively, do it small, do it slow and steady. If you are trying to just become a software developer overnight because you saw somebody vibe code a data analytics app, you are going to be like, whoa, this is a lot. I know me personally, I've done some stuff with different tools, and I'm just like, I barely know GitHub. I need to learn GitHub. I need to learn the basics. I need to learn different components. So try not to overwhelm yourself with everything. Understand what it is that you build out, and then just build upon it. My biggest analogy is just like, it's like weightlifting. It's like working out. The more you do every single day, the better and the stronger you're going to be. It's going to be phenomenal. The more you do and the more you build, it's going to be great. Number 4, skip the foundations. So if you are a new Tableau analyst or you're trying to evolve, understand the fundamentals first, especially from a data analytics perspective. If you like the front end piece, understand what makes a really good data story, what makes a really good dashboard, understand the Gestalt principles, understand use of color, understand ink to data ratio, these different things that are there. These fundamentals are always going to be relevant. If you enjoy the back end and you want to understand SQL, data modeling, star schema, data warehouse toolkit, different things of that nature, understand business context, understand what the business is doing. The fundamentals are always going to be needed. I know a lot of different people in this world that make a lot of good money from doing the fundamentals really well. They don't overcomplicate things because of the new and shiny tools that are in front of them. They really master the fundamentals and get paid really well for doing the fundamentals really well. So if there's an area in your fundamentals that you don't know, like focus on that and get that up to date, then just stack upon it. And then number 5, I personally have a love-hate relationship with social media. So if you are comparing yourself to AI influencers, a lot of them are just selling hype. They're just gas. Like they're just trying to just build upon stuff, and sometimes they're not really in it. And so I would say just be mindful of the content you are consuming. This is me being, I guess, socially responsible with this take. Be mindful of the content you can consume and that you bring into your brain, and what it is that you are watching. If it's someone who is just, monetizing off of your view, and they're monetizing off things that you are consuming and giving them, and you're not getting anything in return, then be mindful of what you're following. If you are following someone who's actually technically savvy, you're learning something from them every single day, they have good content, they have good blog posts, you can take it and leverage it into your day in and day out, then it's awesome. But if it's just like, these fear bubbles that are out here when it comes to AI and these influences of like these agents going to take our jobs, you could be doing more harm than good. So, just make sure you are taking control of the content you are consuming. At the bottom, the smartest thing you can do right now is go deep on one tool and not wide on 20. This is a great quote that I saw. I personally, being a utility knife, I have about 4 that I go deep in. So that's just me being weird and just wanting a job. But if you go deep in one tool, definitely just make sure that you understand what it is and really know the nuances of it, and just understand what it is that you like about that tool, and just really pick it up, and then pick up something else when you feel like you made it to a good spot with that one. All right, what AI gets wrong, why your expertise is in a safety net, AI limitations you must understand. Number 1, hallucinations. We talked about this. So AI can generate incorrect results, calculated fields, or SQL all the time. Make sure you just validate what you got. No business context. AI can be like, I'm a computer. I don't really know. Like, whatever. I created what you said I wanted. But you didn't tell it the definition of an active customer or a repeat patient or different things of that nature, right? So there's no business context that can help out. bias amplification, talked about that earlier, and then overgeneralization, right? Cookie cutter outputs that miss what makes your data unique. So, general 10 KPIs that doesn't really hit the mark that you could have output from AI. So validation checklist, I would say, does this calculated field return expected results on known test cases? If it does, let's expand it. Let's see if this is good. Does SQL logic match what I actually need? Is giving me more results? Would I be comfortable presenting this to my VP without double checking? And I like to take it a step further. Whenever I build a dashboard or report for an executive level audience, I like to think, could my grandmother look at this and understand what's going on? Would she trust the results of this? So if it's that simplistic of a viewpoint, if I'm not comfortable presenting this to my VPN, let me take a step back and not just give it to them. And then does the insight align with what I know about the business? If the answer to any of these is no, then that's your value. You want to validate it, make sure that you understand what is going on. Yeah, so real quick before we go into questions and discussion, one thing I talked about is optimization and time saving. So with this deck, I actually use AI. So I use Gamma all the time for my deck to build this out. And I literally use Claude Code and a couple prompts, MD files, to build this out. So I knew exactly what I wanted. And if you're not using Claude Code, if you're not using Gamma, that's kind of my hack to build stuff out. Even in general, like I knew the Tableau stuff, I knew whatever, but I didn't want to build out the deck. Even just being able to like what's available and what can I get time back for. I use Claude Code, just built this out in 20 minutes for me, and I was able to spot check and do the different things. So when we think about Tableau Data Analyst, this is for it. But if you have presentations or documentations, if you're doing stuff with senior leadership and speaking, think about the different tools that can get you there faster when it comes to what you're building out and what you need. So that's my closer of how to leverage and create content and different tools that are out there that might be outside of just data analysis.
Awesome. That is great. Does anyone have any questions? You can type them in or come off mute. And
I have a question for you. So I know you talked a lot about like writing your prompts and trying to be as thorough as possible. Do you have kind of like a structure or framework of like when you're doing a prompt, like I want to make sure I hit this, this, and this?
Yeah, so good question. So it depends on the use case and what I'm building out. So I like to think, I think about the end in mind first. So let's take this one, for example. Like I knew I needed to build out a deck for this. So my prompt became, I need to create a PowerPoint deck for 30, 40 minutes for this audience. And here are the things that I want to build out. I want to hit this mark. I want to hit these different things, the different topics that I want. I want to include some data analysis, right? So I go deeper into the output that I want. And then I even go further, just saying like, hey, where are my gaps? What are some things that can make this presentation better? And I use AI as more of a thought partner in that relationship, what I was trying to build out to have it pinpoint. So I started with the end in mind, and then I had an idea of what I wanted to present. And then I leveraged AI to go back and forth. So it really took me more, versus saying like, hey, build out this deck for me, more or less. My end goal is I want this to appear, help me get there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
all right, looks like Sam has a question. I can imagine that some companies do not yet have AI available in-house. Do you think analysts will look for jobs where AI is available to use?
Good question. So the politically accurate question is, and this is where the security comes in, is like it might not be available in-house, but if stuff's not locked down, will they still go out and use it anyway? So if I can go to a browser and use a tool and I need to support my family, I will keep it and do what I need to do because I like the job. Now, with the market that it is, and I think a lot of the fear that's out there in the market and the reality of it, right? There's been a lot of headcounts and stuff. Do I think people will leave just for an AI driven role? I don't know. I don't know where that fits in because I still think there's a lot of manual stuff that's there for people to use and create. So there's still like an element of like, you still need to be able to create a dashboard. You still need to create the colors and all that's not fully automated. So for someone to jump to just an AI ready first would be challenging. And I think the bigger one as well is like the bigger enterprises, they're going to be slower to implement AI versus where there's like these startups and small businesses that are there. They'll be like, hey, we don't even need these different tools. We have this that can build it out. But then you're taking a risk there because, if you're with a startup and you don't have enough capital and cash flow. So I think it's a risk all around. So I think it just depends on the person, what they want to do.
All right, let me just scroll here. Oh, all right. Is Viraj, is AI really changing how the dashboards are now currently viewed? Every dashboard is now expected to have a conversational interface to answer the questions. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, great question, right? So if you're looking at social media and you're looking at these founders, these AI hype beasts, they're like, I don't even need Tableau anymore. I can just prompt in the Claude and it will give me my responses back in real time, right? And I don't trust that. And what I mean by that is small businesses, so solopreneurs, small organizations. Yeah, you can get away with it because your data is so small and so limited, right? You have a Shopify shop, and you have Google BigQuery on top of it, right? Google Analytics, right? I have 3 connections. I can do an MCP server. I can connect Cloud to it. Me myself, I have the analysis that I want. Now, where I think the bigger piece of it is that if you're using Tableau and you've already invested in it from a big business perspective, you trust the security, you trust the back end, you trust the migrations, it's going to be a lot harder for those to be implemented on top of it. So I still think there's going to be a need for dashboards. Dashboards are always going to be there. The conversational piece of it is coming. But it just like self-service analytics that when they first came out, you just got to make sure that the stuff on the back end is just pristine and precise. So while people will want it, people are also going to get upset if they're not getting the results back. So while the ask is there, you still got to take a step back and be like, hey, is our architecture even set up for it properly?
Great questions, everybody. Let's see, does anyone else have any questions or comments? All right. It looks like, it looks like that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining us. This is fantastic. Learned a lot and really well put together. And I love how for the presentation of AI, you leveraged it. It came out great. And just going through that, you didn't just say put it together. You had a method to your madness, and I know there's a little back and forth, but it looked great. So big applause for you, and thank you.
Yeah, no problem. In the words of my mentor, Patrick, I'm not lazy, I'm efficient. So I try and be as efficient as possible.
All right, got to write that quote down too. Make my life a lot easier. So, yeah, again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you presenting and taking your time. To everyone that joined us, thank you for being with us and the thoughtful questions. And we got more events to come this year, virtual and in person. So stay tuned for that. And if you're gonna make it to San Diego, I hope to see you at a conference. And thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful night or morning or evening, wherever you're at.